Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. I hope you're all having a good day so far. My name is Sehgal and I work at Transputec. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our panel to you all today. We have Sonny Sehgal, who is the CEO of Transputec. He's been in this industry for over 35 years and he specializes in cybersecurity. And along with him, we have Tenenbaum. He is the CISO of Around Town, and he also has over 15 years of experience within this field. And without further ado, I'd like to pass it over to the panel and let's get this started.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to the webinar, which is focused around the title, as you can see, is Hacked and the Survival Plan. I want to quickly do an introduction and I'll start and then I'll introduce Ran as well. I'm Sonny Sehgal. I am the co-founder of Transputec. I've been doing this, as Shivanjali said, for many years. Started in the industry a long time ago when I was at university, actually, and built the company up. So I've seen a lot of IT. I've seen a lot of changes in IT, and cyber has been a real focus for me over the last, I would say, 10 years. And I can tell you, it's a stressful place to be. You know, I had a lot of hair before I got into the cybersecurity side of the business, like you did, Ran, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I can share a picture of how I looked before I started.
My hair was like over here. It was like, you know, my Lord, it was fantastic. But my God, when you get into cyber business, it is a stressful place. And really, I want to hand over to you, Ran. Tell us a little bit about where you are and your background, and then we'll get diving into the webinar itself.
So we are almost in the same years of experience. You have 35, I have 15, so almost the same. Coming to you from Berlin, where I'm the CISO of the Around Town group. Seen many cases in this position and in previous positions of attacks gone wrong or responses, rather to say, gone wrong. And we're here to share with you what we think should happen in the event that you would be breached.
Yeah, and it's a great topic because people really want to know what to do. Some people have experience being hacked. Some people obviously have not. They don't really know. So today, really, the idea is we're going to show you, you know, what that journey looks like, what happens, the challenges, the stress of it all, and it is stressful. And I think it'll be quite an interesting experience. Before we get into the deck, I'd love to know where people are coming in from. I know we've got quite a substantial number of people dialing into this particular webinar. So, you know, if you get a chance in the chat, put where you're coming in from. I know, Ran, you're in Berlin.
Yes.
What happened in the World Cup? I mean, Germany, come on, what is going on?
It's such a devastating disappointment, I have to say. You know, we were all rooting for it, and my daughter took it really hard. She didn't go to school the next day because she was afraid people will make fun of her. She's in Israel right now.
Right.
Yeah, second time in a row that they are not qualifying. Heartbroken, have to say.
Unbelievable. But listen, England still have a chance, right? Saturday is a big game. Let's see how it goes.
I won't count on it completely, Sonny, but okay, crossing fingers.
Excellent. So we got a lot of people coming in from all over the world. I can see some people from Edinburgh, Scotland. We got London. We got people in Argentina. Anyway, let's get into it, Ran, shall we?
Yeah, shoot away. This is what we're doing.
All right, good. So, you know, what you're going to learn from this particular webinar is really years of experience between Ran and myself, and we're going to go through various steps. These steps are not specifically in any order, but we want to cover off the main 4 topics here, which is the first one, which is that dreaded day when you discover you've been hacked, right? We want to know what happens, the feelings going on, who do you call, what do you do? That's a really stressful day, and it's really nice if you can get yourself organized in that space. We also want to talk about a communications plan, because our experience tells us that if you don't have a really good communication plans and a methodology of communicating to your people, and that could be your internal staff, it could be regulators, it could be customers, it could be suppliers. It becomes a real challenge. Clearly, people want to know what happened, and that's our third slide that we're going to cover. What happened? How did you guys get hacked? What caused you to be hacked? So we're going to talk in detail about that. And really, the most important slide is, if you get hacked, how do you recover? How are you going to recover from that point, and how quickly do you do it? So those are the slides that we're going to cover. And I've got a lot of questions per slide that we've assimilated from our experience of doing this for many years. I've personally been through ransomware attacks, probably over a dozen, some really bad ones in some corporate spaces. Ran, what about you?
Over the past 2 years, I've assisted in at least 3 major ransomware attacks, managed it directly, and in previous years, at least 10 more. I guess there is a common factor between each and every one of them, and we will try to cover those factors over the next hour in the slides.
Excellent. I mean, there's this whole process of being attacked or getting hacked or getting that ransomware note is, I would tell you, it's a real stressful experience, isn't it, Ran?
I guess it's sort of a shock. So the second that you are getting pushed off your systems, you're a bit of a shock. And what will come after, the way that you, as the person responsible for managing this crisis, will perform in those early hours and days, will determine how the organization will look at you, at its customers, at the world, in a good way or in a very shiky-micky way. That will determine the next course of business.
And we hope by the end of this webinar that all of you here will take away some salient points about what you can do to optimize your internal processes and governance. So let's dive into that first day, right? Ran, this is the day that no one wants to see. It is the disaster day that no one wants to wake up to and see a ransomware note, right, on their PCs. It is horrible. I've been through this so many times, and every single time I'm thinking, oh my Lord, what is going on here? Who are the attackers? And
yeah, you get a lot of questions. Why did it happen to me? And what could I have done to prevent it? And at the beginning, those are not important. At the beginning, you need to deal with how to assess exactly what is going on at this point, and not dwell on why did you reach to that point. It's important to present that you're calm, that you're alertive, that you're on top of the situation in order to help your business.
But just go back. Let's go back one step, Ran. Right, one step. Should we explain exactly what a ransomware note is? Do you want to do that? Do you want to explain what is this little note? This is an example of a note on the screen here, but they come in all different shapes and sizes. What is a ransomware note? What is that?
So a ransomware note is basically the attacker publishing and leaving you a breadcrumb, telling you, hey, hello, dear customer, you've been breached. I'm in your systems. You don't know how long I've been in your systems, but I am here, and I've managed to lock all of your important files, and he's giving you the way to communicate with him in order to basically decrypt all of the files and return the organization to business as usual.
And what's the impact of having this kind of note on your system? What's a typical thing? I know when people have a ransomware note on their desktop, their laptop, whatever, on their servers, it's basically doomsday, right? That server, that machine is completely compromised. You're not doing anything with it.
There are different levels of sophisticated attack, but you can assume that once the important files or even operating system files have been encrypted, then basically it's game over. You are assuming that the organization is fully compromised and even crippled in doing regular daily operations.
Yeah, yeah. So look, there's a really, really important emotional aspect here is, how do people feel when they see this thing? I mean, there are different people in an organization, but all focus goes on to the IT department, right? And just share with us, I could share what I have experienced, but share with us from your side, how do people feel when this kind of note comes up on the desktop?
So at the beginning, they are afraid. Okay, so that there are stages of grief as we know them. So at the beginning, they are very, very afraid, thinking it's their fault that something like that happened, and immediately shifting the blame to someone else. And then the shock comes, not understanding what will happen with the company. And then the anger comes towards the IT department. How did you let this happen? And acceptance comes very far down the line. So you can really see it as 5 stages of grief, if we can call it like this. Beginning is very, very frightening. You are disoriented, confused, and this is what we see in all of these attacks. If you're a governmental agency or a small business, everybody is being super shocked when it falls down their door.
And I know that of the attacks that we've handled, one of the biggest questions we get from senior level people within the organizations, and some are really small, some are really big. Why did we get attacked? What was the reason? Why us? Why did we get attacked? Are we the focus of some particular attacking group? Why is that?
I guess this is good because people usually tend to think about their competitors as the first line that will attack them, or if it's a governmental agency or any kind of big organization, they would think that it's state nation. The true answer is that everybody can get hacked and probably will get hacked at some point, and it's basically opportunistic. Okay, so there are attack groups that this is what they do in their line of business. Their line of business is to attack you. There are even ransomware as a service. So there are services to provide to attackers to attack other organizations to gain financial gain on this kind of attacks.
Correct. But the question is, do people? I mean, I know that the question I always get is, did we get attacked because we were the focus of a specific group, or is there a competitor attacking us? Is there an ex-employee? What does that look like? And from my experience, you're normally breached because of some kind of phishing campaign. One of your users has clicked an email that's led to some compromise somewhere.
You're right, Sonny. You're right, because 87% of all attacks are originated from an email.
Yeah.
Very, very lame and common phishing email that is not even a spear phishing email, that someone targeted you and reconnaissance against you in order to provide this spear phishing dedicated email. And usually, it's like a fisherman. They cast their line and whatever comes first and get the bait, they will attack him and encrypt those files.
Absolutely. But going back to that point, how do people feel? And the focus is very it's a stressful feeling for the IT guys. It's not your fault at the end of the day. You try to do as best as possible, but the likelihood of getting attacked is getting even higher and higher every day, isn't it? I mean, the biggest of the biggest companies have spent millions of dollars on their cyber prevention schemes, but they still are subject to some form of attack as well.
I agree, but I'm putting an asterisk here. It's not that you can say it doesn't matter what we'll do, we will still be attacked and we will still be breached. You need to make sure that you fulfill the pillars of information security and IT hygiene in order to make sure that those opportunistic cyber attacks will not fall towards your door. So there are ways to protect yourself or to recover fast or to prepare yourself to those kind of attacks, not just sit there and say, okay, I have nothing to do in order to prevent it.
Absolutely. Prevention is obviously a better option here. Another question I'll always get when I go through these things is, should I engage with these attackers? Should I go to that Tor website and start, engaging with them? And how do I do that? What do I do? What do they want from me?
So that's also a very good question. The second that you identify the breach, it's basically you're running against the clock in order to help your organization. Now, the important thing to answer is not to react without thinking about it. You're already breached. You already got attacked. You need to consider all aspects of this breach. So immediately, as a base rule or as a thumb rule, you do not engage with the attackers immediately. You first understand the magnitude of the breach. You need to buy yourself and to get as much as information as possible. Did they exfiltrate information? Did they only encrypt certain parts of the organization? Every piece of information that you can complete in this puzzle of what were they able to gain control on will determine the course of action that you will take further.
Yeah, absolutely. But the question really boils down to is, should the average person go on to that Tor website and start engaging with the attackers?
There is a very simple answer for that. No. So
right.
if you're a professional and you've dealt with this kind of breaches before, then you have the tools, the capabilities, the mindset, the experience in order to engage with the attackers.
Yeah.
Take note that engaging with attackers could also compromise yourself at the end, because this can be a criminal organization that will that this is their line of business, and you do not want to support criminal organizations in that aspect. So you really need to have someone who has really done this before to assist you with the first engagement.
I agree. I can't agree with you anymore. That's like, do not engage is the answer here. Do not engage with that unless you know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because the clock is... Sorry, go ahead.
Don't be a guinea pig. Don't have the Superman complex that you are coming to save the day. Learn from the experts. Be in the first cyber attack engagement with the expert. The second one or the third one, maybe you can take on your own. Hopefully it will not come to that. But the first one, definitely call someone who has done this before.
And the last thing I want to pick up is I've dealt with many CIOs over my years, and the question they always ask me is, they say, Sonny, what do people think of me now as I was, this happened on my watch, this attack, this is affecting my whole business. What do they think of me?
So at the beginning, they are shocked that this happened because you are responsible for it. But the first few days, the first few hours, it just doesn't matter. You are not in the center of this activity. The attackers are attacking you, and you need to be the one to lead the organization and in getting out of it. So you need to do everything possible, not to cover your ass, sorry for the French, or to think about what will happen to me after. Now is your time to shine as a CISO, as a CIO, as a CTO, and to bring all of the necessary experience outside, from the outside, in order to support this activity. There will come a time where you will do a lesson learned, and you will try to understand where things have gone wrong. Maybe even it's not your fault at all, because you said everything to management, and they just decided that the risk is worth taking because they are not as important as the attacker.
Exactly. I think the key takeaway, it is not your fault, but step up to the challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't.
Okay.
There will be time to rectify about things that have gone or bad or right. This is not the time right now.
Exactly. I'm going to move on to the next slide because this is really, really important. The communications protocol. Oh my Lord, how bad this gets within an organization, whether it's small or large. The intensity of it just gets worse when it's larger. But organizing a clear strategy for communication within the organization to your internal staff, to external people, whether that's your customers or suppliers, and even public statements if you're, a public business, really, really important. Can you just stress from your experience what the gossips that go on, right? I mean, I'll put this slide on with people saying, "Oh my God, we've just been hacked." Have you been hacked? Suddenly, a supplier is telling you, or a customer is telling you you've been hacked, and it's just mind-boggling, this particular area, isn't it?
Yeah. So the communication and the gossip, as you mentioned, just catches fire. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you don't control the narrative, and if you don't put every stakeholder in a dedicated room, or if you don't even have an app, you should have like a crisis management app or procedure to support that. Then you will get Facebook posts about company being hacked, and you will get newspapers and reporters are banging at your door asking for answers. And you really don't want to be there. The important thing with communication is controlling the narrative internally, externally, customers, insurance, legal, everything falls into the same place of controlling the narrative.
Yeah, and I've always found from my experience is I'm going to go to the next slide is you really need to have a clear communication protocol, but funnel that through a central source, a person or multiple people that can communicate internally and externally to the right people, taking the inputs from within the organization and the IT people and getting that message out clearly to the external stakeholders.
Yeah, depending of course the magnitude or how large the organization is, but one thing is similar to all. You need to have one incident manager. Okay,
Yeah.
This incident manager is the one directing. It could be the CEO. Usually, it's the information security officer or the external consultant that comes to save the day together with the CIO. But he is the one calling the shots. And internally, so basically, the head of HR will be responsible to communicate it to the employees. Externally, it's the marketing department. To the regulations is the legal department, etc. But everybody should speak with the same voice.
Correct.
And this is controlled by a single person, usually the incident manager.
And while we're on this particular topic, let's talk about the questions that get asked by internal people, external people. And the first biggest question is, what do they take?
Yeah.
What can I tell? What do they remove from my system? They claim on the note that they've exfiltrated something. What do I know? How do I know what that looks like?
So the short answer in the first few hours is we just don't know.
Yeah.
We are still investigating. So this is very important. Don't say something, even if you have a piece of information that may or may not be true. Even if you assume something, don't say it, because this will spread like fire, and then you will not be able to contain it.
Yeah.
So only provide precise facts about what you know or don't know. Even if you have all the multi-million-dollar systems, sometimes the attack is so sophisticated that you just don't know at the beginning.
Yeah.
So this is very good to say.
And how long that I know it can take a long time to figure out what was taken and what systems were affected, because it's just you're under that massive stress, and everyone from the CEO to your stakeholders would want to know, what's my exposure like? How bad is it? How bad is it?
Yeah, and I've seen it even recently, and cannot stress it enough. In crisis situation, the more you are precise and the more you keep calm and advise the people to give you enough time in order to investigate. Of course, there are obligations that you are obligated to due to GDPR. You're obligated to report within the first 72 hours to the authorities. But you are not obligated to provide false information or to provide information that you don't have.
Yeah.
So you are obligated to inform that there is a breach and may or may not contain personal information or any kind of information.
I agree. And I'll switch off to another question, which is an important one, is when do I tell my cyber insurance company that I've had a breach?
So
I know, just before you answer that, I know of the people that we've handled, I would say 50% of them, maybe slightly more, did not have cyber insurance. And it's a worrying fact, actually, that people don't have cyber insurance, because you need that insurance tick to deal with the fallout.
Yeah. So cyber insurance is important, and in certain aspect, D&O insurance, the personal management insurance can take under in effect with the business email compromise or stuff like that. But even if you have a cyber insurance and you have a personal liability insurance, it's very important to see what is written in the policy. Certain policies dictates that you must inform immediately when you identify the breach, because then they are bringing their experts in order to assist you with the procedure or even to assess what sorts of damage they are expected to cover.
Yeah.
Certain policies are not like this. Only report to us when you have identified to a certain degree of certainty that you were breached. In order for the insurance to be valid, you need to understand exactly what the insurance is covering and what it expects from you.
Yeah, and that leads on to the other question, which is, I get asked this from CIOs and CEOs, is how much is this going to cost me to recover, and how much is it going to cost me as a business? Because there's all sorts of reputation damage here. There's all sorts of, my people cannot work. We cannot serve customers. We cannot deliver goods. We cannot do so many things because our systems are down.
So this falls down into how organized the business is and if he has a business continuity plan. Because the ransomware is a scenario of the entire IT organization being breached, but it can also be caused by a flood or any other the disruption of regular operation.
Yeah,
it's important to have core procedures and business use cases documented in a way that will enable management to understand the magnitude of any sort of outage. Nevertheless, speaking about a ransomware attack.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, what about this question? A lot of people say, well, we migrated all of our old systems that were on premise into the cloud. Yeah. We're in the cloud. We're safe. Everything's cool.
So this is a misconception, of course, because a cloud environment can also be breached, can also be ransomware, depending on the infrastructure that it's running from. But consider this: you access the cloud from your own computer, and you have your credentials that you are passing to the cloud environment from your computer. And if your computer is compromised, then could be that your cloud environment is compromised as well.
Exactly.
It gives you maybe other advantages that you have a cloud environment, but it doesn't bring a silver bullet of the organization not being breached or not being encrypted completely.
So the summary is actually, if you're in the cloud, you're still vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Completely.
And you see more and more attacks directed into cloud services because you see the world going towards cloud services for various reasons.
So as business owners, they're probably thinking, oh my God, this is taking such a long time for us to recover. This is impacting my business. It's costing me huge amounts of money. Should I just pay the ransomware? Should I just pay the Should I just pay the money and get it over and done with? Is that a good plan of action, you think? And just adding one more point to that is, if I pay the damn ransom, will they come back and ask for more? Will they give me the key? Do they still have the keys into my environment?
Yeah, you're basically touching the right points. First, there is no guarantee that even if you pay the ransom, you will get the full decryption key and everything will be fully recovered within a very short time span. This is number one. Number two is that it's proven that almost 70% of the organizations that are being breached are going to be targeted. These are statistics from CrowdStrike, from Gartner. They will be targeted within the next 12 months of them being breached, and the percentage of attack rate is gaining higher when they are paying, because attackers talk between one another. You think that they are loners sitting in their grandmother's basement? No, those are organizations. This is their line of business. So they exchange information even on organizations that are being breached.
Yeah.
So there is no one answer to say yes, pay or not to pay. It's based on the situation, but it's not something that you can say, okay, I will prepare 20 bitcoins and for everything that will happen, I will pay it and that's it. This is not the right answer.
Correct. And the important point is the attackers are well-organized businesses.
Much more than you, much more than security organizations. They are well-founded, well-organized, and they know what they are doing.
Exactly. But actually, they also do have some kind of reputation. They, generally speaking, if you do pay a specific attacking organization, generally don't come back. They do give you the key. They don't come back and attack you again. But the information may be shared, or they may be dissipated across the dark web, and other guys might try their luck.
That's true, but also you need to consider that, as I said at the beginning, that today you get ransomware as a service solution. So basically, those attack groups that that will not come back, or they will release all of the information, they are offering their services to third parties, and those third parties don't have the same reputation as the big attack groups that they currently have. So there is no guarantee whatsoever that if you pay the ransom, you get all the information. They destroy all the information that they have. You will not be extorted again. Or even worse, if you pay it without understanding, there is even a procedure, the right procedure of how to pay the ransom. If you decide to pay the ransom, there is even a right way to do it. Never pay it directly. Always do it through a third party that knows what he's doing.
Exactly. Never engage directly with the attackers.
Yeah.
Never. That's the general rule here. Do not engage directly. When do we get legal involved? The legal part of the company, legal director. When does that person need to get involved in this whole process?
The second you understand that you have a crisis situation. This is the first time that you need to engage. You need to show the integrity of the entire process. You need to show that you didn't hide anything, or you're not covering for anything. And this legal representative, whether to be, if he's external or internal, will need to represent you and the company to the best of his capabilities against or from the regulations. So immediately when you find out that you were breached, a cyber crisis team is being assembled, and head of legal is definitely one of the first to join this team.
Exactly. And also, following on from that, we know that you have to tell the regulator within 72 hours of you discovering this thing. What happens if you don't? What happens if you try and bury this thing under the carpet?
Basically, it's a roulette now. I saw cases in which there was negligence in regular operations, but due to the fact that they followed all of the rules of notifications and the regulations, their fine or any other measures that were taken by the regulations on them were reduced significantly.
Yeah.
Because they were transparent and they understood that what they did was wrong. And on the other hand, I saw companies that are very well protected, but they try to hide it because they were afraid of the share market and what customers will think about them. And eventually, you need to remember, it only takes one employee that takes a snapshot of a ransomware claim or someone blabbering in the corridor with a friend, that somehow it will reach the regulations. It will reach the person that you don't want it to reach.
Yeah, I mean, people Twitter about it, and they tweet and
Immediately.
It's awful. It's awful. So just concluding on that, tell the regulator as soon as possible, but be transparent and open with them.
Completely. And this is the time to really follow all of the checklist, tick all the marks that the regulation dictates, and just be as transparent and lucid as possible. So no one will be able to say that you hid information or you try to manipulate something.
Yeah, and I know in various ICO kind of regulatory requirements, they ask, what was taken. You just don't know what was taken.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say that, right?
Absolutely. In most cases, in the first 72 hours, you will just won't have the capability to know. If you do, of course, and you are able to rule out any type of exposure, exfiltration of data, sorry, good. You need to say that if you have the certainty. But usually you don't have this certainty, and these are the words that you should use. Still under investigation.
Cool. And now I dealt with a case where a large amount of data was exfiltrated, and it's had personal data, passport information. It was crazy. It was crazy what was gigabytes of data was extracted, and going back to the communication protocol, we had to set up a special help desk to deal with all the employees and all the questions that they had about their personal data being leaked and what they needed to do, bank details, passport information, because everyone's now concerned, of course. So having a really good communications protocol is key, really key, and it will make your life a lot easier if you have that in place.
Yeah, absolutely agree, and it's important. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice all of a sudden.
You're talking too much. That's the problem, isn't it?
I know.
Getting a really good communication plan is honestly probably one of the top of the things you need to get done.
No, absolutely, because you don't want one supporter to say one thing and the other supporter to say something else. You want a clear communication engagement rules that everybody will speak in the same language. You are being recorded. You are being transcribed. Everything that you will say will affect the next lawsuit or the next course of action that people will take against you. You need to be very precise with minimum amount of information that you need to share at this point, and be dictated by the marketing department, by the legal department, and by the person in charge of the situation.
I agree. I'm going to swiftly move on to the next topic because it's important. And this is about everyone wants to know what the hell happened and how did it happen, right? Everyone from the secretary to the CIO to legal to marketing, they all want to know this information. Standard question everywhere. And this is really an important slide because who you engage, the forensics team, and I want to explain a little bit about what is a forensics team. This is an important topic about, does the IT team within the organization have enough resource? Because they are now battling, under time constraints and lots of issues.
So the short answer here is the regular IT teams don't have the proficiency or the time in order to deal with forensics. forensics and understanding what is patient zero, where did it come from, who are the attackers, is something that should be done by special groups, special peoples, incident responders, that this is their daily operations, that they are doing it on a daily business. So they are engaging in at least 100 ransomware attacks or any kind of attacks throughout the year. And they have dedicated tools, dedicated knowledge in order to answer those kind of questions.
Mm-hmm. So engaging in a forensic team is really important. We know that because if you don't do that, you don't have the capability, skill, and most importantly, the resource to manage passing
Correct.
information out. So a question I always get asked is can I solve this myself? And I always say probably not, unless you've got a big team and a lot of resources around. So engage some additional support to help you guide you through this process.
I can tell you that I attended even large healthcare organizations that are being breached, and they have above 100 IT guys and a big security team. And still, when it comes to your doorstep, they have incident response retainers and special teams on the payroll that will jump and do whatever it needs to be done to answer those very important and very hard questions of where did it come from or what they took. In order to do that, the regular security operations, security engineers, people that are dealing with firewalls and backups and need to connect the organization in a secure way as fast as possible to continue their daily operations, either don't have the proficiency or the time to do it in the time of the event.
Yeah. And from an IT perspective, a lot of people say, well, look, I've been encrypted. They're asking, they're suggesting I pay something for a decryption key. Are there any tools out there that I could just find that have the decryption key there that I can buy quickly from, the vendors that specialize in this area, Sophos and what have you?
Let's say it's not 100%, but 98%, the answer is no. Yeah. Unfortunately not. Groups like Hive or similar to them, they sit on the same networks that you sit. Immediately when a decryption key is out in the wild, they change it. They change it immediately, and you can just don't have the ability to get it from the internet. And even those incident response special teams, they just don't have it. So don't waste a lot of time considering that a Google search will allow you to get the decryption key from somewhere.
So generally, the answer is a no, generally speaking. I mean, if
deterministic is not in my in my vocabulary, but 99% no.
So when the forensic team comes in, right, there's a bunch of strange people suddenly enter an IT department remotely or physically. There are so many deep dive questions from the IT guys. So many deep dive questions. It's unbelievable. How does someone answer all those questions? How do they manage that? It's complex.
Yeah, what you do basically when a crisis like this happens is that you appoint a focal point that will be able to absorb. He has the capacity, the technical capacity, the mental capacity in order to absorb all of these questions. So he will act as a buffer again between technical teams, legal teams, and other teams that are bombarding you with the questions. And basically, this guy will be able to liaise between different departments. And there are a lot of questions like your backup is encrypted, yes or no. You have a DR plan, yes or no. You have contingency for computers, yes or no. And all of these questions will be able to be answered one at a time.
So I want to move at a bit of a rapid pace because we're running out of time. We've got 15 minutes left. And there's a lot more to cover. One question which is really important is, you've been attacked. Are they still in your system? Are they still wandering around? Are they still got access?
So there are very straightforward steps and that if you follow them, the answer to your question will be no. But depending if you follow them. So if you understand that you need to detect that you have been breached, technically detect, not just the ransomware notice that you have on your computer. And then you basically isolate and contain your network. So if you close all of the network connectivity, then the attacker will lose access and control over the physical network that you have. And of course, you have your identity to cover. So if you cover those basic rules of network isolations and password resets, then the attacker will basically lose control, entering control on what he has on your organization.
I've got a really cool question that's just come in, and it's from someone who says, do the attackers look at the company when identifying a target? Number one, probably not is the answer to that. But do they check the company's worth and turnover? And I can answer that question. They do when they give you the ransomware value, right? So if you're a multi-billion-dollar company, the ransomware, the decryption key is costing you many millions of dollars. If you're not a big company, you're getting a smaller fee.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it even, and we can take it a step further. If the attackers understand that they are dealing with professionals in the negotiation, they will understand that their demands will be reduced because this is a game. Okay? But if they understand, and they do understand, they have psychologists, they have people that have done that, this is a business. And if they will understand that you're a first-timer, that is trying his luck with them, they will keep stand on their own, and they will not reduce significantly the ransomware claim.
And it reinforces the point, do not engage with the attackers yourself. Get someone who's done it before, a negotiator to do that. Let's move on to the next topic, recovering, because it's really important. I've seen so many situations where recovery is a big challenge, right? And the first thing is, can you recover? Can you recover from your backup? And
so remember what we discussed initially. You just don't know at the beginning. So this will follow you throughout the entire crisis. You need to remember that could be that the backup is encrypted as well. And if it's not encrypted because you have a technology that allows you not to encrypt the backup, could be that the encryption file, the original malware, is backed up as well. So if you restore it, you will restore the malware as well. So there are specific procedures that you need to follow, like isolating the backup machines and returning from a backup on an isolated environment, and run scans once you've identified the ransomware hash to see that it's not on your environment, on your backup. So only after you verify, and it's a joint effort by the IT, by the security, and by the incident responders, to tell you, yes, the backup is clean, and you can definitely use it.
Yeah, but my experience, Charles, I'm sure you're probably the same, is that an attacker has been in the system for many months before they actually release their ransomware note. So they've had the chance to feel around what's going on, investigate your systems, and figure out your backup strategy, etc. So they know a lot. So the likelihood of it being in your backup is pretty high.
Yeah, I can, and this is a valid argument, and I agree to that. This is why it's important to follow dedicated steps, specific steps that you have tested before, that you have defined before, in order to verify that even in the event, because backup is a key aspect to determine if you will pay the full ransom or you will not pay the ransom at all. Exactly. When we talk about the double-edged sword, we talk about encryption on the one hand and exfiltration of data on the other hand. So if we put aside exfiltration of data and we talk about only encryption, the backup is the only way to recover from it.
Right. So let's say the backup is compromised, and actually, I've been in two situations where they thought the backup was good, but actually the backup was terrible. either it's encrypted or they never really had a backup. And that's what we call the doomsday scenario, right? You don't have a backup. You're in basically up the creek. You start from ground zero.
Yeah.
That is the worst case scenario ever, and that's going to take time.
Yeah. And here you have to weigh the risk of starting your business from scratch, or to negotiate with the attackers. This is why that it's not one size fits all. If you determine that you cannot rely on your backups, which is worst case scenario, by the way, you should never. You should have a very solid backup strategy and plan, which is verified by external assessors as well, in order to let you know that you will be able to recover from this doomsday scenario. But if you don't have it, then you have very serious decisions that you have to take in that point.
But a lot of people spend a lot of money on security. They buy all these anti-ransomware solutions, EDR, anti-detection. They spend a lot of money on that, but still they get hacked.
Yeah.
And I know the feeling that I receive from many IT directors and CIOs, thinking my budget was spent, quite significantly on these solutions, and yet we're still suffering an attack. How is this possible? I feel really let down by the vendors that I've engaged, and is it their fault?
Yeah. So basically, if there was a silver bullet, I would have bought it first. As a CISO, to protect my organization, I would have taken it. We spend millions on security, but we would have spent everything on that in order to make sure with 100%. You have to remember, it only takes one misconfiguration that can bypass all of your security controls. That's it. Even, one time I had an IT administrator that told me that he doesn't need an antivirus on his machine because he knows what not to click. So yeah, it only takes one person, the man behind the keyboard, as we call it, to get it wrong, unintentionally. By the way, unintentionally, they are doing the right work. They just don't know, and it bypasses everything that you have accomplished.
So actually, the answer is, you yourself are spending millions of euros, I should say, on your cybersecurity.
It's the same today.
Yeah, it is the same, isn't it? My Lord.
Yeah.
But still, it doesn't help you, right? It still takes one misconfiguration, one user doing something incorrect, and then game over.
For us, and this is what I recommend for everybody, the approach is people, process, and technology. You cannot rely on technology to assist you. You cannot rely on procedures to assist you, and you definitely cannot rely on people to do everything that you say. Only the combination of the three, with assistance from risk assessments that are being done externally, and additional awareness training, and always innovation. So don't get stuck with your antivirus software for 10 years or something like that, will reduce, not eliminate, reduce the risk into an acceptable level that you will be able to say, okay, I feel I have done everything that I can in order to protect my company.
But just finishing on this topic, your CEO, you've signed off millions of dollars on your cybersecurity practice and the budget, and then you get attacked. How will he feel for you, for example, once you spent all that money?
Yeah, not good. The gatekeeper usually is the one to blame, but doesn't mean that as a CISO or as a CIO you will get fired. It just means that you will need to have a solid answer and a plan once you have identified all of the information to explain why it happened. This is what it's expected from you, to provide as much as information as possible once you understand everything that was going on. At the end, you must remember that it really doesn't have to be your fault. Maybe it is, but not always.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. Let's move on to the last slide, which is a little bit of a summary before we go into some questions from the audience. really the summary and the takeaway from our little session here is really have a great communications plan and a team ready to handle this kind of threat. As we always say, it's not if you're going to get hacked, it's just when, and it will happen. It happens to the biggest of companies. So to have a great communications plan and a team that's aware of it and they know what to do. Check your backups. The speed of recovery is really, really important. And if you've got a really bad backup or you don't have a good backups and you're not checking them, that's a problem. Because if you can recover, you're in a better place. And also surround yourself with an ecosystem of people that can help support you when this kind of stuff happens. Choose the right partners, choose the right insurance company, the specialists, and potentially have staff available to handle inbound calls or inbound inquiries and those kind of things. PR, for example, really, really important. And the simple thing here, I don't know how many companies I come across that still haven't enabled 2FA. Oh my Lord, it's bad. Get 2FA enabled straight away, right? That's the most simple thing you can ever do. People have migrated to Office 365. Enable 2FA. Please do it straight away. And finishing off the last point is educate your users. Phishing is rampant at the moment. They're really well formulated emails that are going out to people that look genuine. They look like genuine links. People click on them and put their passwords and it's game over. Is there anything else you want to add, Ran?
I think I just want to emphasize that you can see here in the summary that we are talking about people, process, and technology.
Yeah.
Don't lose track on any of these angles in the triangle, because only when it's assembled correctly and with considering all of these three important pillars, then you are able to say that not that you are fully protected, but you have done everything that you can in order to protect your organization.
Excellent, excellent. So look, I want to close off by saying thank you to everyone for joining our little webinar. I hope it was useful. I hope it was you gained some knowledge here. My details are on the link here. You can reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to help. I love doing this stuff. Even if I don't have any hair left, I still enjoy the process. I've got a lot of experience. We've got lots of people that can help as well. My LinkedIn profile is there, so do come along. I want to go off to the last few seconds. Is there any questions, Shivanjali, that we want to quickly address?
And so I think that there are a lot of questions that came through. Some of them are very good, but we didn't have time to answer them. Speaking about 5G technologies and disaster recovery plans, I think it would be good to do a follow-up with the relevant people that shared with us the questions. Some of them are very good. And maybe even post it on your LinkedIn page as a follow-up.
Absolutely, yeah. So the questions, our team will follow up with you all. We'll definitely try and answer some of those questions for the questions that we haven't managed to answer during this webinar. But we're coming to a close. We've got a couple of minutes left. But is there anything else you want to close off with, Ran?
I guess my main key point here, and again, thank you, Sonny, and thank you everyone for attending. And I see the engagement here. It's very nice. Is to prepare. Okay, don't sit around and think it will not happen to you. You are under the radar. You're not as important as people think, etc. Prepare yourself for the day. Even if it doesn't come, still preparation is better than being surprised when it happens.
Exactly. And again, surround yourself with people and the processes and the tools needed to support you in this particular situation, if you get that. And that is basically Hack, the survival plan. Thank you very much for everyone joining. I know we have people from all over the world. There are quite a number of people on this webinar. So we will be holding more of these to share knowledge, share information, so that we all stay protected. And I want to close by saying, have a great day. Let's hope England wins. And sorry about Germany, Ran.
Yeah. I'm rooting for Messi, so I switched to Argentina.
Excellent. Thank you, and I'll close on that particular topic.